All right. Welcome to our senior parent night for the class of 2022. I am Nicole Rippee, the college and career counselor. And with me this afternoon is Pat Shelley, and she is the counselor for the class of 2022.
Hello. We're glad that you're with us today. So what we're going to do is just talk through some graduation requirements, some college entrance requirements, the application process, touch on financial aid, and then talk about some upcoming events that you'll want to be sure that you're looking out for as the senior year progresses. So just briefly, I'm not going to dwell on this, but did want you to see what the graduation requirements are for the class of 2022. It's 24 credits total. They need to have 4 credits of English, 3 credits of math, one of which must be Algebra 1 and the other geometry. After that, we have a lot of different options. They need 3 credits of social studies, and you can see them broken down there by specific social studies classes. They need 3 credits of science, 2 of which must be lab sciences, but most of our science classes are lab science, so that's not an issue. They need 1 credit of career and tech ed. They need 2 credits of fine art. One of those actually has to be a fine art, and that would be 2 classes worth. The other one can be a credit in their personal pathway, and that might be maybe some extra world language classes, or if they're taking a lot of AP classes, or if they want to work in a technical field, they could take some more technical classes in that area, and that would count for that other credit of fine art. They need 2 credits of health and PE. 1 half credit must be health. That's the state graduation requirement. And then the other 3 classes are just the PE classes like team sports or weights or something like that. If they're going to a 4-year college, right out of high school, they need 2 credits of world language, and it must be the same world language. If they're not going on to a 4-year college right out of high school, we can fill those with more of their personal pathway classes at that time. And then after that, they need 4 credits of electives. They need the Washington State history class. Students usually take that during their 7th grade year. However, if a student comes into us from out of state, or they didn't get that Washington history class, then that will be incorporated into the civics class. So they'll get that information. And then they'll need to take the Smarter Balance test, both for English and for math. We will be testing all of the students this year, since we weren't able to do any testing for the past 2 years because of COVID restrictions. There are a lot of different ways that students can show that they have met standards with that. We just have everybody sit for it at least once. After that, they need the high school and beyond plan. Students will complete that through the Zello program, and Nicole will talk about that in just a little while. That's done in their advisory class throughout the 4 years. Really easy for them to catch up if they need to, and it's some really good information about career planning and post-secondary education. All right, now to the Washington State 4-year public university entrance requirements. The Washington State Public Schools got together and they all said, okay, we're going to require the same thing so that each school is going to be the same. And so they have the UHS graduation requirements that you just saw, plus they need 3 years of math, including Algebra 2. So once our students take algebra and geometry, those that are going off to college need to take Algebra 2, at least. That's a minimum. They need an algebra-based science, and we offer chemistry and physics. As we said before, they need 2 years of a world language, and again, it must be the same world language. And then a senior year of quantitative-based math, such as pre-calc, quantitative and financial math, that sort of thing. A lot of the colleges are still looking at the SAT or ACT, and so have your child contact the college where they are interested in attending and see if they're still requiring that. Some colleges are not looking at it for admissions, but they are looking at it for other uses, such as class placement or scholarships or that sort of thing. They'll also need an official high school transcript, and Nicole will talk about how students can access that. One thing that we do want to impress, though, These are just Washington State public four-year college entrance requirements. If your child is going out of state, or if they're going to a private school such as Gonzaga or Whitworth or Whitman, they really need to contact that particular school to see what their entrance requirements are, because they will vary from school to school.
So I'm going to talk briefly about the college application process. Most or all college applications are going to be available online. The format of those applications varies a little bit. So for some colleges, you might be going on to that specific college's website and applying only to that college, specifically through their website. One example would be Eastern Washington University. You would go to their website and complete their application that's unique to them. Another option is the Common App, which if you are interested in using the Common App, you can go to their website to see an exhaustive list of colleges that use the Common App. Some examples: Carroll College, Gonzaga, Pacific Lutheran University, and many more across the nation. And what this does is it allows the student to create a profile so that all of their demographic information is only entered one time. And then they're going to be doing additional supplemental information for the specific colleges. So one college might ask for letters of recommendation, while another college would not. And that's all managed through the Common App and just logging in, creating an account, and managing all those different applications through that one website. If you are using the Common App, then you're going to be requesting that your transcript is sent through the Common App, and you're going to be entering Mrs. Shelley's contact information. And what will happen is she will receive an email that you are requesting for her to fill out information for your Common App. And that Common App information would be sent to any of the schools where you apply with using the Common App. For schools that are not using the Common App, you're going to want to use Zello to send your transcripts. And just a quick reminder that you're going to log into your PowerSchool account and click on the box with the arrow in the top right corner, which is your applications button. And that's going to give you a drop-down box with the option to sign into Zello. So you're going to want to make sure to sign into Zello through your PowerSchool account. And you can go to the goals and plans section and actually request your transcript to be sent to colleges in Zello. There's a step-by-step video in the class of 2022 Google Classroom that I would highly recommend you use if you're planning to use Zello to send transcripts. Letters of recommendation. Not all colleges make you use letters of recommendation, but for those that are asking for letters of recommendation, we have a letter of recommendation, or what we call a brag sheet. That's a Google form that's available to use on our Counseling Center webpage. And we would be happy if you fill that out to print out that for you, and you can give it to whatever teachers you would like with the due date of your letter of recommendation. We suggest giving at least 2 weeks notice to teachers, counselors, coaches, community members that you are asking to write letters of recommendation. This is really important because we want to make sure that we are reviewing the information that's provided in the brag sheet and really able to craft a well-rounded, comprehensive letter of recommendation for you that highlights your achievements, your goals, ambitions, and really helps to showcase who you are for this college or scholarship program that you are applying to. Many of these schools that are asking for letters of recommendation want these because they want to see who you are outside of your transcript, outside of your grades and your SAT or ACT scores. They want to know who you are as a community member. They want to know who you are as a classmate, as a group participant, what attributes you have as a student that really stand alone outside of those grades. So we really want to make sure that we have time to put those letters of recommendation for you well together for you. So make sure that you give 2 weeks notice, that you're making sure that you're filling out that brag sheet, giving lots of good information, and sending little reminders to those teachers that have said yes, they are willing to write a letter for you. Some examples of application deadlines, just to give you a little overview, are the ones listed here. Usually the first application deadline is University of Washington on November 15th. Gonzaga University has also moved up its application deadline over the past couple of years to December 1st. So the general guideline is to really get out your calendar, your phone, and make note of these application deadlines so that you don't miss them. If you miss the application deadline for what we call a pool of applications, when you see a deadline for applications, that's a pool style of application where they're accepting applications up into a specific date. Once that date passes, they are cutting off applications and they're going to review all of the applications that have been given up to that date. And then they're going to make admissions decisions based on that pool of applicants. There are some colleges that do rolling admissions, and they make admissions decisions as they receive applications. There really are just deadlines to start specific quarters. So one example would be Spokane Falls Community College or Spokane Community College. Usually their deadline for fall quarter is sometime at the end of August or beginning of September. Their fall quarter usually starts at the end of September. The deadline is merely just to make sure that you have time to enroll in classes. It's not like the pooling admissions where they're actually having to review applications and make admissions decisions. If you have questions on how to apply to a college, what the process you should be using, please don't hesitate to come and see Mrs. Shelley or myself, and we'd be happy to walk you through that process or answer questions. You can also take screenshots of questions that you have while you're applying and email them to me. I'd be happy to help you however is most helpful to get your applications complete. We're going to quickly go over financial aid. I'm going to release a financial aid 101 video and a scholarship 101 video here in the next couple of weeks, where I'm going to really dive more into this content. For right now, we're just going to talk about the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. And this opens October 1st of each year. So for students planning to attend college in the fall of 22, your FAFSA will open October 1st, and you're going to want to complete the 22-23 FAFSA. But when you complete your FAFSA, it's going to give you access potentially to grants based on your financial need. Grants are free money that you do not have to pay back and are typically awarded to students who meet certain income eligibility requirements, maybe qualify for free and reduced lunch, college-bound scholarship, etc. There are also loans that you can access through the FAFSA. So with the loans, there are two different types. There are subsidized loans, which do not start accruing interest until 6 months after you graduate from college with your degree. And there are unsubsidized loans, which start accruing interest immediately after they're taken out. If your family is hesitant to fill out the FAFSA because you don't think that you're going to qualify for financial aid, which typically we think of as grants or free money, you still can qualify for loans using your FAFSA. And if you're thinking that you're going to have to take out loans to complete your education, you're definitely going to want to complete the FAFSA, because the loans that are awarded through the FAFSA are set at the federal student interest rate, which is the lowest interest rate that you will be able to have access to. The student parent or the parent plus loans or private loans don't have to, you don't have to fill out the FAFSA to access those loans, but those are going to be at a substantially higher interest rate. The other type of financial aid that is awarded through the FAFSA is work study. And this is where the college is guaranteeing you a job on campus to earn money that comes directly into the student's pocket and can be used for any expenses that may arise. So gas, shampoo, laundry, it could be buying a new laptop, books, anything that they need. It's basically like just like having a job. The nice thing is if you qualify for work study and it's built into your financial aid, that you're guaranteed so much time of work. So let's just say you're awarded $2,000 a year in work study. They're guaranteeing that you will get hired and have enough hours to at least earn $2,000 that school year. The other nice thing about these jobs is most of them are on campus, and they are in departments where the supervisors know that the people who are working are students. They're going to make time for them with their to be flexible with their class schedule, to allow for studying, etc. The other nice thing is you could have the potential to work in certain departments where maybe you're interested in majoring and really start to build some experience and relationships. Another type of financial aid is the Western Undergraduate Exchange, fondly called WUI. And this, if you just Google Western Undergraduate Exchange, you can find a comprehensive list of colleges that participate, typically Washington, Idaho, Alaska, Arizona, Montana. And these colleges, what they do is they allow for students who would typically be paying out of state tuition to actually pay 150% of in-state tuition. So it's a little bit more than you would be paying if you were an in-state student, but significantly less than you would be paying as an out-of-state student. Each college is going to run this program differently and have different requirements for the students who earn the WUI at their school. So make sure that you're doing research on the particular colleges that you're interested in attending and how they are awarding WUI to students. Is it based on your GPA or your SAT, ACT scores? Is it based on the first 5,000 applicants? Make sure that you're doing your research so that you have access to this if it's available to you. The last type of financial aid we're going to talk about real quick is scholarships. I just added a bunch of scholarships today, September 21st, to our UHS Google Doc. It's actually a Google Doc that's maintained by counselors in the Spokane Valley area. So if you go to our UHS counseling webpage, and then on the right navigation bar, you'll see FAFSA financial aid and scholarships. If you click there, it will take you to our financial aid page. We have a whole list of different resources for scholarships, so make sure and check that out. I'll also be doing a scholarships 101 video that we'll be posting in the Google Classroom for the class of 2022. So we're going to talk real quickly about the College Bound Scholarship Program. This is something that you would have qualified for in 7th or 8th grade. Typically, students that qualify meet income eligibility requirements based on their parents' income. Typically, if you're eligible for free and reduced lunch, then you would have qualified. And middle school counselors do a real great job about getting kids signed up. If you don't know if you qualify for College Bound Scholarship and you'd like to know, you can go ahead and stop in and see me or Mrs. Shelley, or shoot us an email and check our list and make sure, just let you know if you're signed up or not. The requirements are that you need to graduate high school with a minimum 2.0 GPA and have no felony convictions. You also need to complete your FAFSA in your senior year and qualify financially, basically the exact same qualifications on how you qualified in 8th grade for the program financially are the same qualifications that you need to meet your senior year. If you don't meet those qualifications, that's okay. You have 5 years to use the scholarship. And so basically you can come in and out of eligibility if when in 8th grade, one of your parents was working and one of them was not working. And then in high school, both of them were working and you no longer qualify. Let's just say your freshman year in college, your parents are making too much money, you don't qualify. Then you do your FAFSA again. Your sophomore year in college, one of your parents has lost their job. Now you do qualify. You can have access to use that scholarship. What it pays for is tuition. So it fills in the gap of other aid. A lot of students who qualify for the College Bound Scholarship are also going to qualify for state need grants or potentially federal grants. So sometimes students see a very small amount for the College Bound Scholarship, or sometimes they see a large amount for the College Bound Scholarship just based on the other aid that they are receiving. But basically the pledge is that they're going to cover the tuition of college and a small book allowance. They're not going to pay for housing or food, just your tuition with a small book allowance. We're going to also touch on career and technical programs. If you are thinking that you are not 100% sure what you want to do after you graduate, you know that you don't want to go to college, but you're thinking about another type of training program. There's so many to choose from, and there's a huge need right now for people in skilled trades. So electricians, plumbers, carpenters, people who are working in building. There's tons of different needs, HVAC, and tons of programs. I actually just talked today with a dentist's office that is in huge need of people who are not necessarily dental hygienists, but people who have some minimal training that are wanting to do on the job learning, on the job training with potential to grow into other positions like sterilization techs, dental techs, or dental assisting. So there's lots of options out there. There's a huge need for people that are not wanting to necessarily earn a bachelor's, master's, doctorate degree, that there are lots of jobs available. And I'd be happy to meet with you and go over the different options, talk about apprenticeships or technical programs that are in our area. SCC has amazing technical programs, radiology tech, ultrasound tech, surgical tech, automotive, cosmetology. There's tons of options out there. So please don't think just because you don't want to go to college means that you're just going to go work in fast food or retail. Like there are tons of options out there, and I would be happy to meet with you and brainstorm what would be the best fit for you.
All right, so this is your last year in high school, your last year of free education, as we like to say, unless, of course, you're going into the military or to an apprenticeship program, like Ms. Rippee was just talking about. So we really hope that you make the most of it. Make sure that you have the proper credits for graduation and college admission. Come in and speak to me. If you're a running start or an avid student, go and talk with Ms. Bryant, and we are happy to make sure you've got everything in order. We encourage students to make a calendar of things that they are going to be needing to do towards their post-secondary plans. So look through the scholarship document on the financial aid page of the counseling website and see what scholarships may be coming up and what their deadlines are. Put on there things like when your senior portraits are due to the yearbook or when your announcement order forms are due, those sorts of things, so that you can make sure that you have everything in order and you can meet those deadlines. Because as Ms. Rippee said before, with the application deadlines, you don't get extended time. That a deadline is a deadline. So you want to make sure that you meet those. Check with the scholarship Google Doc weekly. Those start to update pretty quickly when November rolls around and we move forward in the year. We start getting more and more scholarships. So maybe that would be something you could put on your calendar, is every Thursday to check the scholarship document so that you can make sure you access scholarships that you might qualify for. Keep your grades up. Talk with your teachers. Talk with me if you're having trouble with a class, and we can work something out with you. Don't just give up. Go and talk to your teacher about where you're specifically needing some help and keep those grades up. It's so much easier to keep up than to try to catch up. Complete that brag sheet and take it to your teacher or bring it to me if you need letters of recommendation. And as Ms. Rippee said before, make sure that you give us at least 2 weeks in advance so that we can make sure we make those letters really specific to you. I don't have a form that I say, I can take out Lisa's name and put in Brad's name. I make this especially for you. And so as much information as you can get me, that would really help. I like to know things like, why did you choose this career path? Why did you choose this particular college? Are there any obstacles that you've overcome? And those sorts of things I can incorporate into your letter and make it really personal for you. Make sure you finish those Zello assignments. That's something that you could probably just set aside a nice, cold, rainy weekend and sit down and get them done and really look at some options for you career-wise and post-secondary training-wise. And then make sure that you take care of yourself. We have gone through some really stressful times lately. These past couple of years have been really hard. And so we want you to make sure that you take good care of yourself. Take time to play, take time to rest, take time to be with friends and to be alone. And if you go to my Bitmoji office and you click on the little red ball in the chair, that is an actual breathing exercise that you can do every day. Or if you would like some more information about just mindfulness kinds of stuff and self-care, I am more than happy to talk with you about that. So some upcoming things to be looking out for. These are just general ideas, and then we'll have a couple of slides with some specific dates coming up here in just a minute. Senior portraits due to the yearbook in October, FAFSA completion night in October, graduation announcements go out, the order forms go out to you in October. Watch for the senior quote coming up in November. You'll get your graduation announcements in the spring. You'll receive your caps and gowns in the spring. When you get that gown, take it out of the package and let it hang up so the wrinkles will fall out. We're hopeful that we'll have a prom. So that's why we're doing some fundraising. There's an IHOP night that's coming up. Make sure you check out the Class of 2022 Google website, Google Classroom, for that information. You'll have Senior Sunset coming up in June. Graduation is going to be on June 11th. Not sure of the time yet, but we'll get that information to you as soon as we have it. And then hopefully we'll also be able to have a senior all-nighter in June. So for some specific dates that we have coming up, you can see here the parking lot auction was today. We've got the Marine Corps ROTC Workshop Scholarship on the 23rd. And you can see here the list of all of the different things that are going to be coming up. And then we'll go on to the next slide. Make sure that you sign up if you're interested for the school day SAT for seniors. We have very few left, like 12 or fewer. So you go to the 2022 Google Classroom. Ms. Rippee has put a link in there where you can sign up for it. It does cost $55, and sign up for it quickly because those will go quickly. And then your senior pictures are due to the yearbook on the 29th. If you're on social media, make sure that you stay up to date and follow us on Instagram. You can see all of the different ways to link in that way. And then the very bottom there is the join code. This is for students who have a CBSD Gmail account.
So we just kind of want to cover a couple of questions that were asked last night at the in-person event. And one of the questions was, if I already filed a FAFSA for another child, can I use my same FSA ID, or do I need to make a new one for each child? The answer to that question is you only need to make one FSA ID. Each student will have their own unique FSA ID, but each parent only has one FSA ID, and you will use that FSA ID to sign each of your children's FAFSAs. Another question was, how do I know who to get a letter of rec from? And the answer to this is that applications will often indicate which types of teacher or counselor that you would want a letter from. Many of the letters of rec are going to come from core content teachers. So these are teachers who are teaching English, math, science, and social studies. The only time that we recommend using a teacher from an elective content area is if you have a real significant relationship with that teacher, as in you've had them for multiple classes, multiple years. Maybe they're an advisor to a club that you're involved in, or you're planning to apply to an art school or a design school, and you're gonna have that art teacher or design teacher write a letter of recommendation for you, really geared towards that specialty where you're planning to apply. So you want to make sure to read the instructions on the application thoroughly so that you know who the correct people are to ask. And then you're also wanting to make sure that you're asking somebody that you are confident will write a positive letter about you. So really thinking, a lot of times these letters of recommendation are confidential, so you will not see them. So you want to make sure that you're selecting a teacher that you know will have nice and positive things to say about you. The last question we had are, what are the senior picture restrictions? And there is a whole section about what needs to be or what cannot be in your senior pictures on the senior class of 2022 webpage. You can access that through Mrs. Shelley's Google Classroom, or you can also access that through the UHS website under student and parent resources. And then there's a senior page that you can click on. And once you're on the senior page, there's a navigation bar on the right where it will say senior pictures, and it has very specific guidelines on what you need for your senior picture, what you can and cannot have in your senior picture, and the dimensions that are needed for uploading. As always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact Mrs. Shelley or myself. Our contact information is available on the UHS counseling website, both our email and our phone number. And then as always, we have open door policies where students are welcome to stop in and see us whenever works best for them. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and we look forward to helping the class of 2022 have a successful senior year.
Thanks, everybody.